In April, Apple and Google announced a joint effort to launch a coronavirus tracing app aimed at tracking the spread of COVID-19 across the country. Using smartphone and Bluetooth technology, the app was promised to alert users if they'd come in contact with someone infected with the deadly virus. But now, as more details emerge about the software, health officials say it will provide little aid in the battle against COVID-19. CNET senior producer Dan Patterson joins us now. So Dan, what's really the new information that's been revealed about this contract tracing app? Why are health officials really so skeptical of it?
Well, Rena, you can imagine how this particular standoff kind of illustrates the balance, the delicate balance between public safety on the one hand and public privacy on the other hand. So you can imagine how useful contact tracing data might be to local, state, and even federal officials. But on the other hand, it doesn't take a lot of creativity to imagine how this personal health data might be misused. So while there are dozens of requests from various health agencies for data, Apple and Google have claimed that they are pretty reticent to share all of this data because they want to protect the privacy of their users. What we're learning now is that the apps themselves, these are initially apps that are rolled out by these federal, state, and local agencies, and then later operating system updates by Apple and Google. The Bluetooth capabilities of these applications and the OS updates are simply not up to speed to the degree to which Apple and Google had initially claimed.
So initially, the point of this joint venture was really to track and trace COVID-19, people infected with COVID-19, and really where the infections had possibly taken place. Why is it, though, that Apple and Google won't share this information with health officials?
Yeah, well, so these companies have to effectively create policy every time they make decisions about privacy. And so on the one hand, they have indicated to us off record or at least on background in conversations that they do want to be as helpful as possible. But on the other hand, they have to protect the privacy and safety of their users. And all of these big tech companies, or most of them, have come under attack recently for privacy failings. So they are extra sensitive to being helpful on the one hand, but also protecting of their users' personal data on the other hand.
So another area of contention is the fact that Apple restricts these third-party apps from using Bluetooth in the background of their devices. So how would you say this, coupled with the company's restriction for data sharing, with the health officials' impact worldwide trying to trace this, how does this all work?
So look, these companies restrict a lot of functionality in their operating system APIs. These are the application programming interface. It's like the hook that developers build applications onto. So these restrictions really are in place to protect these companies' business models as well as the technical foundations of the operating systems. Limiting this is not really all that uncommon. However, they have to be really careful about what they reveal in their own technical specifications and what they allow developers to access, because once you kind of allow certain components of code or an operating system to be available, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So it is really sensitive to these companies, or at least the data they allow out or the hooks they allow out is pretty sensitive.
So Dan, would you say overall, without having the consent of Apple and Google, is it possible to have a COVID-19 app to do contact tracing without their help?
Well, that kind of remains to be seen, Rena, but it certainly will be a heck of a lot challenging without these operating systems and applications having full access to data and then sharing that data back with public officials. It kind of requires a lot of trust to exist between users, tech firms, and the government. And let me tell you, who do you trust when it comes to big companies, big tech, and big government? I think trust in both of those institutions is kind of at all-time lows right now.
All right, Dan Patterson, great to see you. Dan, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to see you too, Rena.